Every few months, a meme gets circulated on Facebook about a minister who has been assigned to a church. Unlike Unitarian Universalists, there are churches who don't get to choose their ministers. He dresses like an unhoused person and walks around before Sunday worship to see how members of his new congregation will respond. Most people give him cold stares and dirty looks, and the ushers actually tell him that he has to move to the back of the sanctuary. When the time comes during the service to introduce the new minister, everyone applauds and looks around eagerly to see who the new person is, until they see the apparently unhoused man in the back stand up and walk to the pulpit. He recites the Beatitudes as written in the book of Matthew, where Jesus says, "For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. Whatever you did for the least of my siblings, you did for me." And then the minister tells the congregation how badly they failed to live up to Jesus' teachings until they weep in shame. Cool story. And it is just a story, never happened. The story exists so that left-leaning folks can share it on social media and feel superior to certain kinds of Christians. However, while the story in that meme is made up, according to Snopes, it is inspired by a real-life research experiment conducted at Princeton University in 1970. Seminary students were sent on assignments designed to take them past an actor sitting slumped in a doorway, who moaned and coughed as they walked by. What researchers found was that the more urgent the assignment was, and therefore the more in a hurry the student was, the less likely they were to offer help to the man in apparent need. Now, I generally trust Snopes, but the story in the meme and the real-life research experiment seem to me like two different things. The made-up story is a low bar. If the test is to not be mean to someone who is perceived as different, less fortunate, then generally I'll easily pass that test. In contrast, when I read about the real-life experiment, I felt a jolt of recognition. Because if the test is whether or not I will stop to help someone in apparent need when I am in a hurry to fulfill other responsibilities, then I'm afraid that the honest answer is 9 times out of 10, I would fail that test. I know that is true because I have walked by people on the sidewalk telling myself that I would stop, but I'm in a hurry. I'm late for an appointment or a meeting, or I have too many errands and my hands are full. The thing is, though, in this society, we are almost always in a hurry. There is almost always something that we need to do. If these seminary students in the study were asked, what's more important, the human being who is in need or completing an assignment on time? Most likely those aspiring ministers would say that, of course, the human being is more important, as would I. But mainstream society trains us to be accountable to deadlines, not to each other. In Mahayana Buddhism, the aspirational ideal is to be a bodhisattva. A bodhisattva is always quick to help those in need. At various times, my Buddhist teachers have taught us to intentionally keep our hands free so that at any given moment, our hands are free to offer aid, and to leave the house earlier so that we have more time and are not in a hurry. And of course, to assess and prioritize what is most important to us, letting less important things go. In the story for all ages, Dragon was very much in a hurry, and the consequences of delay were significant for them. I'll note that if Dragon had started the race earlier, then they would not have been in that predicament. But they didn't, so they had to choose, and they chose to help those in need. Dragon was acting like a bodhisattva. So for this Lunar New Year, and I've always felt lucky to have 2 New Years to celebrate, and thus 2 chances at new beginnings. This Lunar New Year, my resolution is to be more like Dragon.